Hello, welcome to Dava CIT. If you are a student of BCA, BTech, BSCIT, MSCIT or MCA and Java is a subject is taught in your college, Java is a subject in your semester, either you are learning Java course in any other computer institute, then this video is very important for your exam and interview. So that's why in this series of Java course today we will discuss one by one about features of Java. So without wasting any time, let's get started. The first feature is simple. Java is a simple language, but truly Java is not a simple language. It is very complicated, but it is called as simple because Java syntax is just similar to C++. If you have learned C++ before, then you learn Java very easily. So that's why Java is called simple language. To make Java more secure, concepts like pointers and operator overloading were completely removed from Java because it creates a lot of confusion. The concept of pointers and operator overloading is very complicated and it is very difficult for programmers and students to understand it. So that's why this concept was removed from Java and then Java became a simple programming language. So now let's move on to the next feature, object-oriented. Java is an object-oriented programming language because Java is completely based on object. Everything in Java is an object. Object can be say anything, maybe place name, maybe animal, maybe person. For an example, like a tiger. Tiger is an instance of animal. Tiger is an animal category. So this is called a class. But tiger is an object. And this object has some state and behavior like tiger's color, age, height is called state. And eating, sleeping, running is called behavior. So class and object is simultaneously used in Java program. So that's why in Java, without class and object, you cannot create a program the way you do in C++. In C and C++, without class and object, you can create a program. But in Java, you cannot create a program at all. Because Java is completely based on object. Object based is because Java follows the concept of OOPS, and this is the reason due to software development and maintenance work can be done very easily. For an example, let's suppose this is an application software and the name of this application is Amazon. So what is Amazon here? Class name. Now inside this class there are different types of object. Object can be anything. It can be customers, it can be products, etc. Let's suppose here there is a customer name Sahil. There is an object named Shahil. Now this object has some state and behavior like customers, customer ID, password, address, mobile number, email ID. This is the customer's state, attributes, and login, order product, receive, return is called behavior. It's called action. So if seen here, the software is completely based on the object. That is according to the state and behavior of the object, the software works. And all these features and all these qualities are inside Java. So what is Java? Java is an object-oriented programming language. What is an object? If this question was asked to your exam and interview, then simple answer would be object is defined as real world entity that has some state and behavior. So now let's move on to the next feature, platform independent. Platform independent means you can run the Java program in any operating system in any platform. If you have created a program in Windows, by compiling its program, bytecode is generated. This bytecode you can run in Linux as well as in Mac. This bytecode is called platform independent. And in Java this bytecode is called .class and it is called .java. How it is possible to execute this bytecode in any operating system? Because of JVM. because only JVM understands this bytecode and JVM is installed in every operating system. I mean to say in every operating system has its own JVM. JVM reads this bytecode and then converts this bytecode into the machine code, convert into the machine language, that is 0 and 1. And the operating system understands this bytecode and output it on your screen. That's why Java is called platform independent, and this is one of the most important, most significant features of Java. Why Java is called platform independent? This question is asked many times in exam and interview, so you have to write and speak well. So now let's move on to the next feature, secure. Java is a secure programming language. Why it is called secure? There are many reasons for it, but we will here tell you some of those points. The first reason is the concept of pointers is completely removed from Java. Why it was removed? Because pointers can point to the address of any memory. In such a situation, if any hackers get the memory address, then hackers can be easily figure out what is going on runtime machine, and maybe they steal our data. Hence the concept of pointers removed in Java so that hackers could not be access our memory. That's why Java is more secure. And the second reason is bytecode verified by JVM. You must have seen whenever you download a file from the internet, a strange message appears on the screen, right? Just like a you are downloading file which may harmful to your system. Do you want to still continue? If you continue it, then your system may become slow and corrupt. But if you download the Java bytecode, Java software from the internet, then this type of message does not show, because in JVM will check the bytecode before the execution. JVM will check the bytecode whether the code is in the correct format or not. If it is correct formatted, then program get executed. Otherwise, it blocks illegal code from outside so that virus doesn't enter the system. This is the reason that makes Java more secure. So now let's move on to the next feature, robust. Robust means strong. Java is robust language because there are many reasons. I have already told you the 2 points in the concept of platform independent. One is pointers and another one is bytecode verified. Right? Now here I will tell you 2 more points. One is garbage collector and another one is exception handling. So first of all, let's talk about garbage collector. What is the role of garbage collector? First we should know. In Java, the role of garbage collector is to deallocate the memory. Free that memory. In most of the languages, programmers allocate memory. Programmers use memory, but forget to deallocate. In such a situation, while using memory for a long time, your program may become corrupt or your system may become slow. Anything can happen due to memory override, right? If you allocate the memory, after the work is finished, you have to free that memory as well as deallocate memory. And this type of problem is called leakage of memory problem. But this problem doesn't happen in Java because Java uses garbage collector. Garbage collector automatically deallocate the memory after the execution of a program. And now exception handling. What does it mean? When any programmers make program or make software, then during that time many mistakes are made by them, such as semicolon, inverted comma, unwanted event, and exceptional coding means we do not cause error in compile time but error occur in runtime. So in this way programmers make many mistakes, and to handle this mistake the concept of exception handling was brought so that whatever error occurred during program execution, programmers can handle it gracefully. That makes Java robust. So now let's move on to the next feature, portable. Java is also portable language. It means that you compile the source code of Java with the help of compiler and generate bytecode and copy this bytecode in pen drive and then run in any operating system in any platform. This is called a portable. In simple terms, bytecode is portable for every devices. So that's why Java is called portable language. So now let's move on to the next feature, multi-threading. The topic of multi-threading is very important in Java. This is such a topic which mostly asked in the interview. That's why I will make a separate video on this topic for you. And I will tell you deeply the concept of multi-threading. For now, let's get to know a little about what is multi-threading. This means if multiple threads are executed at the same time is called multi-threading. I mean, when multiple threads are executed simultaneously is called multi-threading. For an example, if you have ever played the game, then you will know that each player is doing different tasks at the same time, right? Some players are running with guns in their hand, and some players are shooting on them, and some players die, and some players shoot at each other to save themselves. Here each player is doing different tasks at the same time. It is called multi-threading. If we talk in terms of computer, then in Windows you do multiple tasks at the same time. Like one side you are downloading the file from the internet, and the other side you are doing some work in MS Word. And at the same time you are listening to music. It means that you are doing multiple tasks at the same time. This is called multitasking. But the same thing when we do in programming, it is called multi-threading. Okay, got it? And now, what are the advantages of multi-threading? The main advantage of multi-threading is that you will not need to occupy separate memory for each thread. It's shared with common memory. So now, let's move on to the next feature, architecture neutral. Architecture means your system configuration, your computer configuration like processor, CPU, etc. You know why Java is called an architecture neutral? Because it doesn't depend on any system configuration. That is, what is your processor, how many GB of memory, what is the CPU, and which operating system is on your computer, and how many bits are there. It does not depend on this type of architecture because it is a neutral. The bytecode is a neutral. The bytecode is a platform independent. Therefore, Java can be run on any computer architecture. You know normally what happens in C programming language? When you take integer data type, then it depends on how many bits of operating system your computer has. According to that, integer memory occupied. Let's suppose if your Windows is 32 bits operating system and you run C programming in it, then it occupies 2 bytes of memory. And if your Windows is 64 bits, then it occupies 4 bytes of memory. But in Java, it doesn't happen whether your Windows is 32 bits or 64 bits. It occupies 4 bytes of memory for both. That is the features of architecture neutral. So now let's move on to the next feature, distributed. Java is also a distributed language because you can create a distributed application. I mean, in Java, you can develop a distributed application. Distributed application means that you can access the same application from the different systems through the internet. You know, all the banking applications are distributed applications. You must have seen in the bank, all the staffs are working in different systems. Some are depositing, some are withdrawing, and some are submitting KYC form, etc. etc. And all these systems are connected to the internet and are using the same applications. This type of application is known as distributed application. I mean, to accessing the same application from the different systems through the internet is called distributed application. RMI and EJB are used to build a distributed application. The full form of RMI is Remote Method Invocation and the full form of EJB is Enterprise Java Beans. And Java has a special library classes to access the internet, which can communicate through TCP/IP protocol. And you can access the resource of that applications from any systems over the internet. This is the main features of Java. I will see you on the next video. Thank you so much for watching.